Welcome to the Channel 6 News. I'm Dee Tranter reporting. The City Board of Adjustments denies a request from Canyonlands Camp Park to allow tent camping in the Pack Creek flood channel. And Moab officials look at the downtown parking problem. We'll have those stories when Channel 6 News continues.
Spring is here, and if images of shovels, rakes, sprinklers, hoses, fertilizer, and peat moss are running through your head, run on down to Moab Hardware and Furniture. This year, save backstrain with this handy thatching blade that fits right on your mower. Save money with Ace brand fertilizer, 20-pound bag, just $3.99. And we'll loan you the spreader at no charge. Moab Hardware and Furniture, the garden spot for all your gardening needs.
First Western National Bank, your hometown bank in Moab, has a special offer for homeowners. Now is the time to fix up your home with a new addition, kitchen cabinets, storm windows, siding, or a new deck. First Western National Bank can make any qualified homeowner an FHA Title I loan up to $17,500. Come in and see Southeast Utah's loan specialist at First Western National Bank, your hometown bank in Moab.
You know, Pete & Company is the largest styling salon in southeastern Utah, but did you know they have casual wear? These go-anywhere styles take you from morning to evening, from work to play, comfortably in carefree cotton blends. Now colorful too, in bright spring shades. You'll love to live in it. Pete & Company, your place for style from head to toe.
The Moab City Board of Adjustments voted Tuesday evening to deny a request from Dick Holliday at Canyonlands Camp Park to have tent camping in a flood channel, and that decision could lead to court action. The unanimous vote by board members exhausts the administrative appeals process for the camp park. Now, if they wish to pursue it further, they will have to go to court. Holliday had asked that he be allowed to have tents set up on property within the camp park right along the Pack Creek. A week earlier, he had told the board that he had been allowed to do it for the past 10 years. The floodway zone is designed to protect human life and property damage. It says nothing that can threaten safety can be allowed in the zone, and board members decided this proposal was not safe.
As a chairman, I don't want to sway people's votes. My opinion, personal opinion, is that it's a dangerous situation that we have there. There's possibility of life loss, property damage, and it won't be mitigated by insurance when you lose a life. So my feeling is that the request is questionable.
Last September, a Canyonlands Camp Park customer was caught up in a flash flood when she tried to get out of that area. Her car was carried hundreds of feet down the creek, and she was eventually rescued when local resident Larry Campbell and police officer Mike Weiler jumped in and pulled her out. And that experience weighed on the board members Tuesday evening.
There was an incident occurring on whatever date it was, and it was not a dramatically large flood.
No.
Less than 10-year flood,
right.
Something in that range. And it created a situation that
it nearly could have
been fatal. And I think that's what I'm basing my decision when it comes to that on. And it's not a 100-year creek incident that something would occur. It's something that is almost periodic and normal.
Yeah. I think it's a very nice environment. It looks like a nice place to camp. In fact, it's seductive, and in the fact that it feels comfortable and safe. As a matter of fact, there's tree-lined banks. There's nice walkways. And there's nice little romantic places to put tents. It's not a bad layout. It's a good layout for camping. It's a bad situation when you realize that you're standing in the bottom of a creek bed and you're looking at approximately 25 feet to the bank, and in most places the top of that bank is inaccessible from where you're standing.
There's a lot of things in the flood zone that particular area is, the elevation is such that it would be inundated by 15 feet of water.
Yes,
coming down.
Very easily.
It's the elevation is such that
the benches are so steep there. It's not a gradual
This
thing. So the water is going to spread out. It's definitely a channel that's been cut. Yeah.
I move that we deny Mr. Holliday's request for camping in the flood zone. The basis of that would be that camping is not within the keeping of the purpose and characteristic of the zone, which states the primary purpose of the FC1 flood zone is to facilitate protection of life and property from damage of floods. You put people asleep down in that flood zone, I'm sorry, there's no protection.
The camp park can now go to district court to overrule that vote. They can also go to court to try to get damages, but Board of Adjustment members say they have discussed it with legal counsel and feel confident in their decision. This Friday is the last day to comment on a plan by the U.S. Forest Service to allow seismographic work in the La Salle Mountains and high mesas. The request to do the work comes from the Oxy USA Company. They want to lay about 7 miles of line across Jimmy Keene Flat, Porcupine Rim, Fisher Mesa, and other areas to check the geology for potential oil and gas. The seismic work would take about 5 weeks to complete. If you have an opinion, you should contact the Moab District Office of the Forest Service by this Friday. The League of Women Voters holds its annual meeting this Thursday evening, where members will decide the focus of League activities for the next year. The Board of Directors is recommending that the League undertake a study of air quality in Moab, and particularly the impact wood and coal-burning stoves have on the health and economy of this area, and what can be done to ease some of the problems. League members will vote on whether or not to pursue that study, as well as electing new officers for the coming year. That annual meeting is Thursday evening beginning at 7 p.m. in the Mavita restaurant, and anyone interested is invited to attend. We'll take a look at the downtown parking situation and at the Recycling Art Fair in Moab, and we'll have those stories when Channel 6 News continues.
Spring is busting out all over at Spanish Valley Nursery. Quality new stock is arriving almost daily at the best prices around. Select from an abundance of evergreen and flowering shrubbery and container-grown roses. Decorative grasses, ground covers, and ivies line the path to the greenhouse, where it's full steam ahead for flowers, vegetables, and herbs. And it doesn't stop there. The backup stock is growing in the wings. Come enjoy the bounty of spring at Spanish Valley Nursery, where it's always first quality.
For all your insurance needs in Moab, it's Central Utah Insurance. Home, auto, business, and life. You can depend on the fast, friendly service at Central Utah Insurance, 471 South Main.
For the unusual gift, try Sherry's Country Store Gifts. Sherry grew up around country stores and knows there has to be something for all the 5 senses. Something to see, smell, taste, touch, and hear, and give the sense you're a welcome customer. The walls are filled with unique goods from different corners of the world. So for the memorable gift of quality, come to Sherry's Country Store Gifts in the Western Plaza.
It was quiet in town for about a half hour Wednesday afternoon when the power went out in Moab. According to Utah Power and Light, a wire on a power pole on First West near Rim Cyclery started to burn around 3:30 Wednesday afternoon. Crews were able to get there quickly and replace it, and the power was back on in about a half hour.
The streets of Moab have been more crowded this spring than ever before, and city officials are looking at some solutions to the growing problem of downtown parking. Here's Ken Davey with a report.
It's getting tougher and tougher to find a place to park a car in downtown Moab. Just a few years ago, the curbs along Main Street were usually wide open to cars, and parallel parking was a lost art among residents. But nowadays, daytime or evenings, weekends or weekdays, expect cars crowded into the spots along Main Street and the side streets right off it. And every projection calls for continued growth in the number of visitors coming to town, almost all of them arriving by private automobile. So what should be done? Downtown merchants have invested heavily in shops and businesses to take advantage of that growth, but it doesn't do them any good if the tourists can't find a place to park. And local residents, long used to the idea of finding places near their favorite downtown merchants, are getting tired of having to ride around the block. At some point, the city government is going to have to get involved. And in fact, the Planning Commission has already set up a subcommittee on parking, though in recent months the group has not been that active. The committee has been looking at a number of solutions, but in the final analysis, the city is going to have to get involved. There are some sites in town that they are looking at as possibilities. The best, in terms of location and convenience to downtown Moab, is the Forest Service land by the courthouse and post office. But since that land belongs to the federal government, even if they are willing to sell, it would be a long and complex procedure dealing with Washington, D.C. The second choice is the empty lot to the west of Utah Gas on West Center Street. The third choice is the land behind Subway Sandwich and the Sevens building off of South Main Street. There have been other suggestions as well, including land behind First Security Bank, the old City Market parcel, and the Main Street property that was slated to become a mini mall, but now looks like it will stay empty for a while. All of these suggestions are just that, simply ideas various members of the parking committee and city officials have had. No decisions have been made, and it could be a long time before any are made, because they still have to come up with a way to pay for that parking. City Council members are virtually certain to oppose any plans calling for using current general funds to pay for it. One idea is charging downtown businesses a yearly fee or tax to finance the program, but that's sure to evince some strong opposition from store owners. Another idea is to install parking meters on Main Street and nearby side streets, but that too will generate opposition. So until the city can decide how they will pay for it, they won't be making any moves toward what to do. This is Ken Davey for Channel 6.
The City of Moab is accepting letters of interest from residents who would like to serve on the city's Shade Tree Commission. The commission looks at the present and future placement of trees and landscaping on city-owned property and rights-of-way. And if you'd like to serve on the body, you can drop off a letter of interest at City Hall. And the application period will close Friday, May 1st at 5 p.m. Art is in the eyes of the beholder, and that was never more true than this week when the Canyonlands Recycling Center held its first ever Recycled Art Fair. The sculptures were on display at the empty lot at Main and Center Streets. There were two categories, functional and aesthetic, and sometimes it was hard to tell which categories the sculptures were in. The rules said you could only make the sculptures out of recycled material, in other words, junk. And a couple of artists were on hand to explain the deep meanings behind their work.
Okay, what is it?
Well, it was supposed to be a moon, and the glass were supposed to be celestial bodies and stars. But then after I put the blue and the green on the moon, it kind of looked more like the Earth. So now it's kind of the Earth and galaxy around it. Most of it came from the dump and from a pile of junk at my house. How's that?
This is a dangly jangly. It's produced as one of the functional sculptures to keep birds out of the garden.
Oh, and deer.
Produced by Noel Drogan, age 4, Seth Chart, age 4, Tyson Gra, age 4, Cody Cummins, age 4, Sarah Cummings, age 2.
Ready? The hula hoop is a functional entry. It's made by Heather Hall of Moab, Utah. And it is made from PVC pipe and coated copper wire.
This is a sculpture produced by the high school art class and Chris Becker's high school art class. And it's all tires, except for 2 aluminum cans there. Okay. Goes with the desert lizard theme, I guess.
What you have here, I'm sure you can tell what this is. This sort of represents the kitchen. Here's a little spray. some kind of cleaner, kind of fabric cleaner called Faultless. And here's a little air freshener here to hang around the sink. So to me, this represents sort of a sink, but what was coming out of it was a bunch of junk. But really, the whole thing's a bunch of junk. We all have an impact, is what I was trying to represent here. I must say I didn't work very hard at it. I threw it together in 5 or 10 minutes.
The purpose of the art fair was to draw attention to recycling, and especially to the fact that the Canyonlands Recycling Center now has 24-hour drop-off bins at City Market for paper, glass, and cans. And the more materials recycled, the longer the life of the local landfill. Well, up next is the Canyon Country weather forecast when Channel 6 News continues.
Through the seasons, through the miles, through the rough country of southeastern Utah, we get you through. We're GTE. We're your telephone company.
The Nike Air Moab, only at RIM.
Music of Moab, music for everyone. Jazz, country, rock, classical, blues, and top 40. Everything for your listening pleasure is now available at Music of Moab. Conveniently located in the Western Plaza, Music of Moab carries your favorite music, CDs, cassettes, and a wide selection of music accessories. Music of Moab, your music headquarters for southeastern Utah. Music of Moab, music for everyone.
It was bright sunshine in the valley on Wednesday, and once again temperatures climbed to summertime highs in the mid-90s. But it should cool off a bit over the next few days. Official National Weather Service forecast for Moab and Canyon Country calls for partly cloudy skies through Thursday and Friday. Look for afternoon thermometer readings Thursday in the mid-80s and down to around 80 on Friday. Overnight lows still mild at around 60 degrees. And the long-range forecast calls for mercury readings gradually rising over the weekend with partly cloudy skies through Sunday and highs again near 90. Well, it's springtime in town, and Channel 6 will be taking a few days off for spring cleaning and machine and human maintenance. Our next broadcast will be Monday evening at 6:30 p.m. And that's news of Moab and Canyon Country. I'm Dee Tranter reporting. Have a good day. Welcome to the Channel 6 News. I'm Dee Tranter reporting. The County Commission will pay the courthouse renovation project manager about $80,000 to oversee the $3.9 million project. We'll have that story when Channel 6 News continues.
For the unusual gift, try Sherry's Country Store Gifts. Sherry grew up around country stores and knows there has to be something for all the 5 senses. Something to see, smell, taste, touch and hear, and give the sense you're a welcome customer. The walls are filled with unique goods from different corners of the world. So for the memorable gift of quality, come to Sherry's Country Store Gifts in the Western Plaza.
get in on the fun with this 91 Ford Explorer at Certified Ford. This V6 automatic XLT comes complete with power windows and locks, air conditioning and cruise control for your ease and comfort, and pinstripes running boards and an AM/FM cassette for the sport in you. Low mileage, too. See it today at Certified Ford.
The Grant County Commission formally chose Richard Kohler to be the project manager for the courthouse renovation project. Kohler has been doing work for the county for months, but was not officially chosen until Monday when the commission voted to hire him.
The initial phase of the project, lead the discussions and decisions how best to configure design, maximize the use of local labor and construction expertise, minimize unnecessary expenses to county taxpayers, phases of building occupancy and construction schedules, alternatives regarding construction phasing bidding process. Kind of sums up what we expect him to do is help us get this thing done. Find out what buildings are available, arrange for moving people around, get all these little things arranged.
The project was supposed to have begun earlier this year, but a number of factors had pushed back the actual construction work, which county officials say should begin soon. Commissioners say Kohler has already helped reduce the cost of the overall project, and he'll be paid well for that work.
Fee for service shall be $2 per square foot of finished floor area, which it comes up to be
87,000. Can't remember exactly, but we had it figured out.
Is that the going rate for project manager?
Yeah, that's the going. In fact,
I think it was about $80,000.
86, 87,000 frame, I think. We had it broken down.
I don't know.
On the project.
Square the
it's
plans.
broken down into amount, but it's a $2 a square foot.
Well, I think we all agree that we needed a project manager. And since he's acting as one right now, it's pretty academic. I think it's kind of just what we need to do to finalize what's already happened.
Pretty much. So your motion was?
To accept that contract.
To enter into this contract with Kohler Architecture. Is there a second to that? All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Okay.
You didn't put this out for bid, did you?
No. No.
For 80,000, shouldn't you?
No, don't have to. We don't have to put that out for bid.
But I didn't say whether you had to or not. Shouldn't you, though, for 80,000? Is that a lot of money?
Your own project manager, everybody does it, Ken. It's just whomever you feel comfortable with.
The commission also heard that costs of closing the Keystone Pit and looking more closely at the Cisco Pit are going to go up. The pits have been operated by the county for the disposal of saltwater waste. Last year, the state closed the Keystone facility because it was leaking. The county hired the firm of CTC Geotech to look at the situation.
The Keystone pits we've decided to close, so they're basically finding out what's happening, if anything, with those pits right now. And the Cisco ones are also to give us some more information so that we can make some decisions on how best to keep those open and run them, if we decide to do that.
Last month, the commission agreed to pay Jerry Holliday $30,000 for the use of his portion of the Keystone pits. It turned out that, in fact, much of the pit was on BLM property without federal government approval. And the work of CTC Geotech is also going to cost the county.
About $20,000 so far? All right.
And Dave Warner indicated that there would be a lot more expense out there yet that they weren't clear. So,
we
you know, I
get
just
caught up on this and find out exactly what.
need to be aware of what's happening with that budget.
Okay.
So far this year, the Keystone Pit has been closed and has brought in no income. The county had budgeted about $20,000 from it. But according to Clerk Fran Townsend, the Cisco Pit is generating funds at a rate exceeding what was expected. Steve Rohrer approached the commission about permission to sell firewood to campers from a location at the Lions Park near the Colorado River Bridge, and the request led to a discussion from the commission audience.
As an independent property owner in the county, I'd like to voice some concern about establishing private business on public land. There are private residents who pay taxes on private property in the county that are currently selling firewood, and my concern is that a number of businesses, actually more directly, be it t-shirts or whatever, that try to set concessionary and such on public land, attempt to do so typically at a lower cost to them than a resident would encounter purchasing property or renting private property.
I think it's real important that we support his ideas of business of firewood, because the only other alternative is cutting down live trees and this sort of thing.
That's exactly it. You know, it's
if we could work a program, maybe a temporary thing until this could be worked out.
Commissioners suggested Royer talk with nearby private landowners. The commission approved the appointment of Connie Blaine to an opening on the Mosquito Abatement District Board. According to Board Chairman Mike Holyoke, Blaine was the top recommendation of the board. The commission also appointed Vonda Louthen to the District Health Board to fill a seat previously held by Janie Walker. Well, it was perfect weather for the Moab Amateur Golf Tournament, and a new rodeo queen is crowned. We'll have those stories when Channel 6 News continues.
And Spanish Valley Nursery is a place for Mom. Surprise her with a rose bush for a gift that she's sure to enjoy. Or choose from a wide selection of hanging baskets, flowering shrubs, decorative silver brocade, or a variety of evergreens for year-round beauty. The greenhouse is in full bloom with flowers and bedding plants. Time-tested for the Moab area. Remember Mom on her day, Spanish Valley Nursery, where it's always first quality.
First Western National Bank, your hometown bank in Moab, has a special offer for homeowners. Now is the time to fix up your home with a new addition, kitchen cabinets, storm windows, siding, or a new deck. First Western National Bank can make any qualified homeowner an FHA Title I loan up to $17,500. Come in and see Southeast Utah's loan specialist at First Western National Bank, your hometown bank in Moab.
Make Nelson's Heating and Refrigeration your first step to cool this summer with one of their new swamp coolers. Nelson's also offers parts, service, and installation. And if it's appliances you're after, Nelson's proudly presents Whirlpool and Maytag brands for low energy use, fewer repairs, and great warranties. Nelson's Heating and Refrigeration, serving Moab for 30 years, 1070 Bowling Alley Lane.
Sunshine, light breezes, and temperatures in the 80 meant absolutely perfect conditions for the Canyonlands Amateur Golf Tournament over the weekend, and golfers were out in force, playing what one Salt Lake television station called the most beautiful golf course in the state. According to golf course manager Glenn Richardson, more people turned out than were expected.
We had a real favorable turnout. We expected to have 120 in the tournament. We ended up with 130. So it is above our expectations, and we were able to get them out and open up the course for open play in the afternoon. And so we didn't hold up a lot of people who just wanted to play golf for fun. But it's been a great day, and we couldn't have asked for better weather. In fact, that's what everybody said. Is this the Canyonlands? Canyonlands usually noted for the wind, but we've had super weather.
Each year the tournament attracts some of the best golfers from around the region. Some return year after year, and others come out for the first time, but promise they'll be back.
Yesterday I played well. Today I'm really struggling. So it's day to day on this course, but it's beautiful weather and a beautiful golf course and a neat town.
What do you like about this course the best?
I think it's the scenery and the challenge. It's a tight course. It's kind of a demanding course, and you can't make any mistakes on it. Plus, it's just beautiful to be here.
We have people here from Durango, Grand Junction. We have some from Ridgeway, Colorado, and then we have a lot of them out of Salt Lake, up in Layton, quite a few out of Grand Junction. So we're getting probably within the 200-mile radius of Moab is where we're drawing from most of them.
As usual, top scores were above par. That's not unusual in Moab.
And everybody comes in and they say, 75 is leading? Well, yeah, on the Moab course, it'll be leading. They're used to somebody at par or under leading these tournaments, but this course is just a different course, and it eats people up when they start trying to score real good on it. They're not used to the tight fairways, and all of a sudden they have bigger scores than they anticipated. But people come here are used to playing the golf courses where there's no trouble. They hit a ball 100 yards offline, it's just go over out another fairway or grass and hit it again. Well, here we don't have that. You hit it 100 yards offline, you're in trouble. And you just haven't learned to get out of trouble if you've never had it before.
The overall tournament winner was Mike Wood of Salt Lake City. Second place went to County Commissioner Manuel Torres. The top net score, determined by handicap, went to local resident Mac Ross. And other locals did well. Jim Corwin had the best gross score in the B flight, and Frank Tabor came in on top in the net. And the winners of the C flight were Bob Sansbury for gross and Scott Robinson for net. The next big tournament weekend is for women golfers.
Ladies tournament's coming up a week from this Saturday and Sunday. The Desert Duster is on Saturday, and the Two Lady Best Ball is in on Sunday.
Meanwhile, the course is open every day with club and cart rentals and a driving range, and both individual and group lessons are available. The Canyonlands Rodeo is just a month away, and over the weekend it was time to select the Rodeo Queen for 1992. Some of the most attractive and talented young women in town took part in the contest, with the winner receiving a brand new saddle. The Rodeo Princess will be Megan Simmons. The first attendant will be Kelsey Holyoke. And the Rodeo Queen chosen was Dusty Simmons, who was just a bit excited to be the winner.
Our queen for the 1992 Canyonlands Rodeo is number 109.
The Queen and her court will reign during the rodeo, which will be held at the Old Spanish Trail Arena in June. Well, up next is the Canyon Country weather forecast when Channel 6 News continues.
For the best RV camp park in Moab, it's Holiday Haven, with oversized spaces to accommodate the largest RV and cool, comfortable tent sites under mature shade trees, all with a convenient central location. Holiday Haven is also Moab's finest mobile home park that offers country living in the city, an established park with pool, playground, laundry facilities, and a retired section. For comfortable RV or mobile home living, it's Holiday Haven, 400 North, 5th West.
Through the seasons, through the miles, through the rough country of southeastern Utah, we get you through. We're GTE. We're your telephone company.
Beautiful sunshine stayed over the valley Monday morning and early afternoon, but clouds began moving in later in the day. Look for sunshine mixed with afternoon clouds and a chance of some showers over the next few days. Official National Weather Service forecast for Moab and Canyon Country calls for temperatures climbing into the 90s Tuesday and Wednesday, but late afternoon should bring some scattered showers, especially at higher elevations, and look for overnight lows down to about the mid-50s. And that's news of Moab and Canyon Country. I'm Dee Tranter reporting. Have a good day.
welcome to the Channel 6 News. I'm Jim Kelly reporting. The County Commission hires Kramer Noble Engineering to begin work on the Hastings Road near Green River, and Moab receives a visitor from its sister city in British Columbia. We'll have those stories when the Channel 6 News continues.
First Western National Bank, your hometown bank in Moab, has a special offer for homeowners. Now is the time to fix up your home with a new addition, kitchen cabinets, storm windows, siding, or a new deck. First Western National Bank can make any qualified homeowner an FHA Title I loan up to $17,500. Come in and see Southeast Utah's loan specialist at First Western National Bank, your hometown bank in Moab.
For all your insurance needs in Moab, it's Central Utah Insurance. Home, auto, business, and life. You can depend on the fast, friendly service at Central Utah Insurance, 471 South Main.
The Grand County Commission has hired the engineering firm of Kramer & Noble to begin a project with the federal government to rebuild the Hastings Road in Green River. That decision was made at Monday's County Commission meeting, where commissioners agreed to pay Kramer & Noble about $80,000 to do the engineering. Following that work, the federal government will complete the project. The Hastings Road near the city of Green River is used for access to the river. In other business, the Commission tentatively approved allowing developers Paul Morris and Horace Beeman to put up land for collateral to ensure infrastructure at the Spanish Valley Estates subdivision. According to Morris, the projects call for 3 phases of work totaling 22 home sites. The first phase, to begin right away, calls for 8 homes. County ordinance requires that developers either post a bond to complete the infrastructure, such as roads and utilities, or put up property unrelated to the project as collateral. Morris asked the Commission to allow them to put up land inside the development instead.
Anyways, these 6 lots back here, we want to have a mortgage on by the county for the bonding of the improvements. And right now, most of the improvements are either contracted for, so this money's been paid already, or they're in here, or they won't cost anything.
But commissioners heard from County Attorney Lyle Anderson, who indicated he thought that would be in violation of the ordinance.
You know, I just barely believe that zoning is necessary in the first place and useful. And I really hate to throw red tape in front of somebody who's trying to do something productive. But I gotta tell you, I really have my doubts that a fair interpretation of the ordinance would lead to the conclusion that this mortgage is sufficient to guarantee the construction of the improvements.
It's obvious that ordinances and these types of things are set up to protect everybody involved, people that might possibly purchase the county, so on. If we feel adequately protected, if we feel that this is a good project, can we legally go ahead and do this? Or do we have to meet those criteria?
I think you either have to determine that this land that he's offering is unrelated, or determine or amend your ordinance before you can do that.
In the end, commissioners decided to ask Beeman to put up some other property instead.
Now, follow me on this, Lyle, make sure that we're okay. Entertain a motion then that when we receive an agreement for a piece of property unrelated worth a minimum of $55,000, that then we will go ahead and accept this proposal, enter into this agreement, and we're on our way, contingent upon there. So it doesn't have to come back to the county commission. What we're saying is once we agree to do this, once we get a piece of property that satisfies us.
Okay.
And then we're gone.
The commission also heard from Cassie Nash of the middle school on a fundraising activity for the school's improvisational theater.
And what we would like to do is a spaghetti dinner fundraiser on the 15th. And we're requesting that you waive the rental fee for the Civic Center.
Will this be plenty of supervision?
Most definitely.
So, okay, I think that our biggest concern is that there's not any damage done and it's fairly well cleaned up afterwards.
We would take care of everything.
The commission also heard from County Clerk Fran Townsend, who explained that the budget should be reopened because some departments are spending more than the budget called for. She said the shortage can be made up with carryover funds from last year that were higher than expected. And Townsend also said the county should look again at its policies on granting business licenses.
We are being inundated in our office by transient business licenses, people selling
trinkets
and stuff out on the highways and byways and bike trails, and they don't go to the city, they come to the, basically they walk in and they sign this little piece of paper that's about 4 lines, and Jeff says okay, and we give them a business license. And it's getting, number one, the city really makes them go through a process. They charge for that process. I feel like that the county really needs to, I feel like this is going to increase. And I think that we need to rethink our approach to issuing business licenses. And I would like the commission to take that under advisement and really think about that.
Commissioners will meet again on Monday, May 18th. The head of the Rossland, British Columbia Chamber of Commerce speaks to the Moab Chamber of Commerce. We'll have that story when the Channel 6 News continues.
Spring is here, and if images of shovels, rakes, sprinklers, hoses, fertilizer, and peat moss are running through your head, run on down to Moab Hardware and Furniture. This year, save backstrain with this handy thatching blade that fits right on your mower. Save money with Ace brand fertilizer, 20-pound bag, just $3.99. And we'll loan you the spreader at no charge. Moab Hardware and Furniture, the garden spot for all your gardening needs.
The Nike Air Moab, only at RIM.
No, Pete & Company is the largest styling salon in southeastern Utah. But did you know they have casual wear? These go-anywhere styles take you from morning to evening, from work to play, comfortably in carefree cotton blends. Now colorful too, in bright spring shades. You'll love to live in it. Pete & Company, your place for style from head to toe.
It's Youth Week here in Moab. The Moab Elks Club has designated this week to honor young people for their accomplishments to the community and to remind the rest of us that today's young people will be tomorrow's leaders. The week was proclaimed by Mayor Tom Stocks, who urged everyone to participate in the observance. The Moab City Council has a busy agenda for their Tuesday evening meeting. The council will once again look at proposed city ordinances that tighten rules regarding excavation work within the city and prohibit new motels in neighborhood commercial zones such as along 4th East. The council will also hear a recommendation from the Backup Power Routing Committee on where Utah Power and Light should construct an alternate power line into town. And Mayor Tom Stocks will make his recommendations on the 1992-93 city budget, which goes into effect this July. That meeting begins at 8 p.m. Tuesday evening in the commission chambers of the Grand County Courthouse. Moab and its Canadian sister city of Rossland, British Columbia share both a history of mining and the more recent problems and opportunities of shifting its economic focus. That was the word from Doreen Butler, the president of the Rossland Chamber of Commerce, who spoke to the Moab Chamber at its Tuesday luncheon meeting. Earlier this year, Moab became sister cities with the Canadian town, which is about 100 miles north of Spokane, Washington. According to Moab City Council member Bill McDougall, Doreen and her husband have been in Moab before, and that's helped cement the sister city relationship.
Two Canadians from the little community of Rossland, British Columbia, Doreen and Dave Butler, who operate a small ski lodge at Red Mountain that's about 3 miles from the little community of Rossland. Visited this area like 6 or 7 years ago. They're outdoors people, including biking, hiking. They fell in love with the similarity between the city of Moab with this mining background, and Rosslyn being one of the real famous old-time gold communities, even had the first speculative stock exchange in Canada, to the best of my knowledge, had a lot of similarity, and they thought that the sister city idea was great for these two communities.
Rosslyn is primarily a winter recreation area now, with a ski resort just outside town. And in many ways, the two towns shared a history of relying on mining for their economic base and seeing that base erode.
What similarities do you see between Moab and your city?
Similarities? I guess the population, the histories, i.e. the mining. When I first moved to Rosslyn, which was 17 years ago, the mine was employing over 5,000, and now through modernization, it's little over 2,000, and that has a tremendous detrimental effect.
Rosslyn residents faced that problem and now see themselves focusing on building an economy based on recreation.
They've just basically pulled their socks up and said, hey, we've got our good mountain and we have nice scenery. We've just got to work towards more tourism. And
how are they doing
if we want to stay. They're doing okay, but it's very new. We're starting, I imagine, we're back where you were, let's say 8 years ago, 10 years ago. You know, but now I see that you've sort of, looks like you snowballed a bit.
Earlier this year, McDougald traveled to Rosslyn. That trip and this visit by Doreen Butler could signal the beginning of more joint activities between the two cities.
We're getting to a point now where we're going to start considering the exchange of students and change of ideas, change of visitation, change of possible, like golfing, you know, raffling off golfing tickets and visits and motel visits and things like that between the two communities.
The National Park Service reminds local businesses that if they plan on applying for licenses for commercial activities in the park, they must submit their forms by the end of this month. Commercial use licenses are required for guided overnight canoe or backpack trips, cargo hauling for private bike trips, and commercial rock climbing instructions. The permits will allow the activities in Canyonlands and Arches National Parks and in Natural Bridges National Monument. You can pick up an application at the Park Service office at 125 West 200 South here in Moab, and for further information you can call Assistant Chief Ranger Sandra Holloway at 259-7164. The Grant County High School baseball team is in action here in town this week. On Friday, they host Park City at the high school, with varsity action getting underway at 3 p.m. and the junior varsity game beginning at about 4:45. Then on Saturday, they travel to Camas for a 1 p.m. varsity game against South Summit High School. The She-Devil softball team has the same schedule, with a home match Friday afternoon at 3 p.m. against Park City. That game will take place at the softball complex on Center Street, and on Saturday they too catch the early morning bus to Camas for a 1 p.m. game against South Summit. Up next is the Canyon Country weather forecast when the Channel 6 News continues.
In case you've been too busy to notice, McDonald's prices have changed. An original hamburger is just 59 cents, a cheeseburger just 69 cents, a sausage biscuit 79 cents. But if you're in a hurry, don't worry. Because this is not a promotion. It's McDonald's today. And from now on.
Music of Moab, music for everyone. Jazz, country, rock, classical, blues, and top 40. Everything for your listening pleasure is now available at Music of Moab. Conveniently located in the Western Plaza, Music of Moab carries your favorite music, CDs, cassettes, and a wide selection of music accessories. Music of Moab, your music headquarters for southeastern Utah. Music of Moab, music for everyone.
Through the seasons, through the miles, through the rough country of southeastern Utah, we get you through. We're GTE. We're your telephone company.
Bright sunshine stayed in the valley on Tuesday, with afternoon temperatures climbing up to the 90-degree mark. And look for more warm weather over the next few days, but with a chance of some scattered rain showers. The official National Weather Service forecast for Moab and Canyon Country calls for mostly sunny skies mixed with some afternoon and evening clouds through Wednesday. Look for high temperatures staying up around 90 degrees and overnight lows dropping down to about 55. And that's the news of Moab and Canyon Country. I'm Jim Kelly, reminding you to keep on smiling.
Welcome to the Channel 6 News. I'm Dee Tranter reporting. The Moab City Council takes a critical look at the bed and breakfast situation in the city. And Helen M. Knight School students take part in the Drug Abuse Resistance Education Campaign, and we'll have those stories when Channel 6 News continues.
Spanish Valley Nursery is a place for Mom. Surprise her with a rose bush for a gift that she's sure to enjoy. Or choose from a wide selection of hanging baskets, flowering shrubs, decorative silver brocade, or a variety of evergreens for year-round beauty. The greenhouse is in full bloom with flowers and bedding plants. Time-tested for the Moab area. Remember Mom on her day, Spanish Valley Nursery, where it's always first quality.
How do you have an instant party? Just buy a sack of subs at Subway. Take them home and serve them family style. It's more fun because everyone gets a taste of everything and no one has to cook. So if unexpected guests drop by unexpectedly or you don't feel like cooking dinner, pick up a sack of subs at Subway. We specialize in solving emergencies with food.
For more information on these and other fine sandwiches, visit the Subway near you.
Moab City Council members are looking at the impact of bed and breakfast in town. Here's Ken Davey with a report.
Just a few years ago, a new kind of overnight accommodation began appearing in Moab, the bed and breakfast. But as with other aspects of Moab's growing tourist economy, they are becoming the target of more and more local criticism. Bed and breakfasts have become very popular on the East Coast and throughout California, where large homes have been converted to lodges. According to city officials, there are 10 bed and breakfasts and 8 short-term rental businesses in Moab's residential areas. But that count only includes those that have gone through the licensing process. Officials suspect there are a number of houses and rooms being rented illegally as well. That number of businesses in residential neighborhoods, say city council members, is beginning to impact local residents.
We need some direction because we're the ones that are taking the heat when people, want to know why and what and so forth. And so I think it's time that we probably really need to take some time and take a look at the current situation with bed and breakfast in the community, and also give some very serious consideration at this time, anyway, until we have an opportunity to review this a little more, take into consideration any new requests that come in, and just kind of basically, take it easy. I don't know whether I want to go so far as to say a moratorium, but I mean, let's really consider it with some very serious consideration to more.
It's a situation that's getting way out of hand in Moab. There's no place to live, and as long as people are buying and fixing up with the idea of doing that, and we're having some problems in now. People are turning them down in the planning commission level of it. I'd be willing, if someone would make a motion, to work on moratorium or something until it can be resolved, whether it's more restrictions or whatever it takes.
I know two people that are thinking about going into the quote-unquote bed and breakfast business. And I know some of the neighbors that live around that area. And these people are going out and getting the little petition signed and everything else. But in secret, the neighbors are saying, we don't want this.
I really do believe that it's time that we take a serious look at our ordinances on bed and breakfast and do something to get some control, because it's out of control.
Where's the guideline? I mean, do you have a right to control your own neighborhood, or are we in this for, the almighty dollar, or what
Well,
there needs to be some criteria, that's what I'm saying. And I would agree with Terry and Dave.
Start enforcing those conditions. I know a lot of people that are parking on streets, not parking in their backyards like they're supposed to be. They're not living there. It's obvious. Nobody's living there.
Absolutely.
It's $1,000 or whatever the fine is a day and of occurrence, and start enforcing some of that. There's neighborhoods that aren't complaining because they don't want to be complainers, but they're upset.
That's exactly right. And for example, there's one or two locations right around my store where they literally got people sleeping in the backyard. Now,
camping out,
It just goes on and on. It's not just bed and breakfast. It's when we have special events in town, you see people setting out campers in the parking lot of the high school and off the streets, and really, it's not proper. We should not be allowing those types of things, and it's something that we do need to discuss.
After hearing the comments about bed and breakfast, which no doubt has its pitfalls, I think the reason that the bed and breakfast got out of hand in the first place is no motel rooms for these occasions, and that's the reason they're bringing all the deals in.
The council agreed the first step should be to get together with the Planning Commission and others to go over zoning and enforcement. That meeting, possibly taking place over a weekend, will probably occur this summer after the city deals with its budget. But the problem is deeper than a handful of bed and breakfasts. Behind the distress and the council's expression of lack of control is a frustration with the number of visitors in town, especially over the spring this year. The tourist economy has grown faster than anyone expected, bringing problems that weren't foreseen. And now the council understands it's going to have to address those problems before solutions can be found. This is Ken Davey for Channel 6.
The impacts of tourism and how to pay for them was a theme throughout Tuesday evening's City Council meeting. Mayor Tom Stocks, in making his recommendation for the upcoming city budget, has raised the idea of a room occupancy tax and reducing the local sales tax on motels. The idea is a charge of $1 per person per night for city motels. Officials estimate it could generate hundreds of thousands of dollars, and there are a number of projects that need the money.
Downtown parking is one of the areas that's impacted. Sewer plant and water lines is affected by tourism, and so those businesses that are in the tourist business would be affected by it.
In other business, the council accepted a bid from Southern Paving to repave the perimeter parking areas surrounding the new city park. And last Friday was the deadline for applications for the Moab Shade Tree Commission, and no one applied, so the city will keep open the application period. The next City Council meeting is scheduled for May 19. A joint effort of the schools and the police department helps teach youngsters about drug abuse, and we'll have that story and more news when Channel 6 News continues.
If it's housewares, fabrics, or school supplies you need, think Sprouse. If it's bed and bath items or health and beauty aids you're looking for, think Sprouse. For greeting cards, footwear, or toys, think Sprouse. For more values more often, think Sprouse. Now for extra savings, look for these special tags, managers' special purchases, jackpot buys, and discount food and snacks. Sprouse.
Oh, Bessie Lou, Bessie Lou, Bessie Lou.
They're famous, they're fun, they're riders in the sky. See them live on June 6th at 7:30 p.m. at the Old Spanish Trail Arena.
As I go riding merrily along.
The Moab Golf Course has been described as the most beautiful in the state, so now that warm weather's here, why not come out to play the course that attracts golfers from all over the region? Individual and group lessons are available, along with golf club and cart rentals. So come on out for some golf among the Red Rocks at the Moab Golf Course. For information, call 259-6488.
For the past year, Grand County youngsters have been involved in a special drug prevention education program, and school officials say it's working. Once a week, Moab Police Department Detective Mike Navarre spends a day at the Helen M. Knight School. His job is to guide sixth graders through the Drug Abuse Resistance Education, or DARE program. The class doesn't use scare techniques, nor does it lecture the youngsters. Instead, it stresses the importance of self-esteem, and that when it comes to drugs, students have choices and options. And according to Navarre and Helen M. Knight Principal Paul Nash, the program is a big success.
I think it's been working great. It's everything I expected and more. I started this last year. It's a 17-lesson program in all of the sixth grade classes. I go into the classrooms in uniform, as I am now, and teach for 45 minutes each class. We're looking at our graduation on May 15th at 1 in the afternoon in the school auditorium. I believe I've developed a rapport with them in the room. We're on a one-to-one basis now. I work out on the playground, I eat lunch with them here in the cafeteria, and getting their attention first and getting my point across, which seems to have worked. We address things like self-esteem, feeling good about their self. There's a lot on decision making and what the consequences of those decisions might be.
The DARE program has been real effective for the students here in a number of different ways, actually. One is that they've learned some different coping skills in terms of how to communicate better with their friends and peers and parents. They've also learned some refusal skills on how to say no to drugs, and also has given them a different awareness on substance abuse problems in the community. Students have reacted very favorably to the program, and I think that's in part due to Officer Navarre's relationship with the students. He relates well to the kids. They like him a lot, and he's really provided a lot of credibility to the program, and so he's really had a major impact.
Next week, the students will graduate from the program, and the school will hold a special ceremony.
Okay, the graduation ceremony will be during the day at May 15th, and we'll bring all the students in. What we'll do is have students who have developed skits in regards to alcohol and drug prevention perform in front of other students. We'll have some community representatives here also, and we'll be giving each student a little DARE graduation diploma that they've been through the DARE program and a t-shirt. And so the bottom line of it is to make it all as positive as possible, because we feel that's the only way that we're going to prevent alcohol and drug abuse, is by having a positive approach rather than a punishing kind of approach or negative approach.
Experts have long held that dealing with the problems of drug and alcohol abuse before they become a reality is the best way to reduce the abuse. And the DARE program, with the support of the police, the City Council, and the Board of Education, is an example of a positive approach.
Is it going to continue in the future?
Yes, it will. And we're looking at even expanding, getting another officer certified to teach the program in the state. And there'll be 2 of us down here to sort of split up the schedule. It's quite time consuming. I spend 1 day a week, every week here for my regular job. But we feel as though it's well worth that time.
The DARE program will begin again in the fall with the new school year. The latest figures from the National Park Service confirm what most of us in Moab already know, and that is that the biggest year ever in terms of tourism is underway. According to park records, visitors to Canyonlands National Park in April totals over 47,000 people, a full 14% more than April of a year ago. That puts year-to-date figures at the park to Moab South at over 81,000 people, 15% more than the same time in 1991, and last year was a record breaker. The most popular area of the park in April was the Island in the Sky district near Moab, followed by the Needles district near Monticello. But while the increase in visitors at Canyonlands was impressive, it was overwhelming at Arches National Park. Over 82,000 people saw the Arches. That's 37% ahead of last April. So far this year, 153,000 visitors have passed through the park. That's 24% ahead of 1991. And camping is up in the park as well by 13% so far this year. And at Natural Bridges National Monument near Blanding, visitation was up 20% in April, 11% so far this year. Up next is the Canyon Country weather forecast when Channel 6 News continues.
For the best RV camp park in Moab, it's Holiday Haven, with oversized spaces to accommodate the largest RV and cool, comfortable tent sites under mature shade trees, all with a convenient central location. Holiday Haven is also Moab's finest mobile home park that offers country living in the city, an established park with pool, playground, laundry facilities, and a retired section. For comfortable RV or mobile home living, it's Holiday Haven, 400 North, 5th West.
First Western National Bank, your hometown bank in Moab, has a special offer for homeowners. Now is the time to fix up your home with a new addition, kitchen cabinets, storm windows, siding, or a new deck. First Western National Bank can make any qualified homeowner an FHA Title I loan up to $17,500. Come in and see Southeast Utah's loan specialist at First Western National Bank, your hometown bank in Moab.
Through the seasons, through the miles, through the rough country of southeastern Utah, we get you through. We're GTE. We're your telephone company.
Sunshine Wednesday morning gave way to hazy clouds by afternoon with highs in the mid-80s, and look for more of the same for the next few days. The official National Weather Service forecast for Moab and Canyon Country calls for partly cloudy skies right on through the weekend. Look for high thermometer readings on Thursday and Friday in the mid-80s, with overnight lows down around the 60-degree mark. And keep an eye out for some widely scattered afternoon and evening thunder showers, especially at higher elevations. Long-range forecast says the variable skies should remain through Saturday and Sunday, with mercury readings staying in the mid-80s. And that's news of Moab and Canyon Country. I'm Dee Trantler reporting. Have a good day.
Welcome to the Channel 6 News. I'm Jim Kelly reporting. The local Board of Education looks at a year-round school calendar, and some local residents don't like what they say was a forced resignation of a school principal. We'll have those stories when the Channel 6 News continues.
For the unusual gift, try Sherry's Country Store Gifts. Sherry grew up around country stores and knows there has to be something for all the five senses. Something to see, smell, taste, touch, and hear, and give the sense you're a welcome customer. The walls are filled with unique goods from different corners of the world. So for the memorable gift of quality, come to Sherry's Country Store Gifts in the Western Plaza.
Get in on the fun with this 91 Ford Explorer at Certified Ford. This V6 automatic XLT Comes complete with power windows and locks, air conditioning and cruise control for your ease and comfort, and Pinstripes running boards and an AM/FM cassette for the sport in you. Low mileage, too. See it today at Certified Ford.
Should Grand County schools go on a year-round schedule? That's the question a school district committee is looking into right now. The district was given funds from the Utah State Office of Education to study how reorganizing the school calendar might work in a rural setting. That study is being coordinated by Moab resident Gene Erdley, who told the Channel 6 the school board is not actively considering a switch to the new schedule at this time.
The year-round feasibility study is basically a fact-finding mission to try and find as much information about year-round schools as we can, create a resource document which will then be available for the school board should the issue of year-round school come up in the future. There was some money available through the State Office of Education for these types of studies, and so the district applied for a grant and received it.
Is the district looking at going to a year-round school?
They're not currently considering the year-round option. They're trying to be proactive in this sense rather than reactive. They want to have the information on hand, so should the issue arise, they'll have some immediate answers.
Erdley explained just what is meant by a year-round schedule.
Basically, year-round school refers to a number of alternatives to the traditional schedule. The traditional schedule, which was created in the 1800s, has a 9-month school year with a 3-month break in the summer, and that was to accommodate an agricultural society so that the children and teachers could be available to bring in the crops in the summer. Educators have long questioned the lack of continuity in education that particular schedule creates because we have such a long break, so there's a lot of learning loss. So the idea of an alternative schedule, which doesn't mean more than 180 days of education, but it means distributing those 180 days a little differently. So you might be in school for 10 weeks, have a break for 3 weeks. You might be in school for 15 weeks and have a break for a month and alternate back and forth. For an average third grader, you leave school ready to go into 4th grade with all your skills, and then you're gone for 3 months. And depending what happens in the home and how much the parents contribute to keeping some of the skills, which frankly kids may not use in the summer, they'll enter 4th grade and they'll maybe be back into February of their 3rd grade in terms of what they know. So teachers have to spend a lot of times in review. For children who have a little more difficulty learning, that summer is particularly hard on them. They have to work very hard to get their skills back. For students who have a lot of support in the home during the summer and who are a little quicker, they may not lose as much, but they still have to participate in the review process because the whole class needs to be brought up to speed. So it hurts them a little bit too because it holds them back.
One alternative would divide the students along different schedules, with one group on vacation while the others attend school. But in smaller areas, such as Grand County, the more likely plan would have all the students on the same schedule, all taking the same vacations, and the drawback, says Erdley, is additional district expenses.
Infrastructure development, air conditioning, for instance. If we were to require students to be in the classroom during the hotter times of the year, we would need to improve the air conditioning facilities, so that's going to cost money. We need to consider administrative support, clerical personnel. They need to have vacations, but there's a lot of work that is involved in these little intersessions that they need to do, so it may require hiring more people. There's a general resistance to change, too. Some families may have a traditional June vacation, and they would be reticent to give that up.
The committee is running a series of articles in the Times Independent going over the pros and cons of a schedule change, and soon will ask residents what they think.
The first aspect of the study is to review the current literature, and we're in the process of reading documents that have been prepared in other states, looking at test scores, analyzing the pros and cons as they have been presented throughout the country. There is a National Association of Year-Round Education that has provided a lot of information. The second phase is a community survey, and we're about to go into that now, and that's why we've put out the articles in the paper. We want to know what people's attitudes are, what their questions are, what their concerns are, And we have put the articles to kind of give them some things to think about. This is not to persuade them one way or the other, but to provide some information to think about before they answer the questions on the survey.
Eardley will be speaking at the Rotary Luncheon on Monday and the Chamber of Commerce Luncheon on Tuesday. The Grand County Board of Education has announced that high school principal Mike Kelly will be transferred to the position of English teacher next year, and that Helen M. Knight School Principal Paul Nash has submitted his resignation. But that move has led to some controversy. Some parents of students at the HMK schools say they believe Nash was forced out and they don't like it. They also say they have the support of some teachers at the school as well. They have organized a Thursday evening meeting to discuss the situation. School board members say simply that both principals resigned and won't comment any further. Moab officials look at development fees for new construction in town, and local Democrats get ready for their county convention. We'll have those stories when the Channel 6 News continues.
If it's housewares, fabrics, or school supplies you need, think Sprouse. If it's bed and bath items or health and beauty aids you're looking for, think Sprouse. For greeting cards, footwear, or toys, think Sprouse. For more values more often, think Sprouse. Now for extra savings, look for these special tags: Manager's Special Purchases, Jackpot Buys, and Discount Food and Snacks. Sprouse.
Spanish Valley Nursery is a place for Mom. Surprise her with a rose bush for a gift that she's sure to enjoy. Or choose from a wide selection of hanging baskets, flowering shrubs, decorative silver brocade, or a variety of evergreens for year-round beauty. The greenhouse is in full bloom with flowers and bedding plants. Time-tested for the Moab area. Remember Mom on her day, Spanish Valley Nursery, where it's always first quality.
First Western National Bank, your hometown bank in Moab, has a special offer for homeowners. Now is the time to fix up your home with a new addition, kitchen cabinets, storm windows, siding, or a new deck. First Western National Bank can make any qualified homeowner an FHA Title I loan up to $17,500. Come in and see Southeast Utah's loan specialist at First Western National Bank, your hometown bank in Moab.
Moab city officials are considering the possibility of charging development fees to help pay for future infrastructure projects, but not all city council members are ready to vote for them. That was part of the discussion at this week's city council meeting. This year, there have been some major construction projects which will add about 375 new motel rooms to town. All those rooms will be hooked up to the water and sewer system. One water main has been leaking, and the cost of replacing it could be as much as $1.5 million. In fact, most of the city's water system is now 30 years old and showing wear. The city's sewer plant is also aging, and some officials think we have to begin looking at upgrading or even replacing it. In addition, there are other questions, including storm drainage, that could result in major financial obligation to the city. Council members looked at charging fees to new developments to help pay for that.
Pretty much self-explanatory. Is the council going to want to do anything about this, or are we going to just let it shine on?
What are we going to do with the money when we get it? I mean, I don't have a problem. I mean, you don't just go and arbitrarily set fees if you don't know what you're going to do with them or if they're impacting you like they should be.
You've got storm drainage, you've got sewer considerations and water considerations at this time. Downtown parking is another, and also a city facility for the police department and the offices. So there's areas for that, but I think that probably the appropriate thing to do would be to have sort of a workshop where we get together and sort of hash out a direction, and then let the staff bring back some information.
I think what we need to do as council people is decide why we want development fees. Do we want them to? Because I don't think if it's to stifle development, it ain't going to do it. Doesn't matter the fee, as long as there's a profit to be made, they're going to do it. So the more development we do with this money, the more people are going to come in and take advantage of it, i.e. a bigger sewer plant, more water, whatever it happens to be.
It's not inappropriate to put into capital projects money for a period in time just toward a project that you know is going to be far beyond our means to be able to do that. And that's, though most every one of those items I've mentioned is of that nature. And the other thing is, as we have money in the capital projects, those funds can be used for that study that the engineering firm or somebody more qualified than myself or the council to be able to make that determination as to the cost.
A discussion of fees, taxes, and infrastructure planning will be the dominant theme of this year's council budget deliberations for the new fiscal year beginning in July. Grand County Democrats will gather this Saturday for their county convention, which will choose delegates to the state convention next month and could choose who the party's candidate will be in the upcoming county commission election. There are two commission candidates vying for the party nomination. They are Peter Haney and Joe Kingsley. A delegate vote will be taken Saturday. If either candidate receives 70% or more, he becomes the party candidate. If neither receives at least 70%, the two will go to a primary election in September. The delegates chosen for the state convention will have some decisions to make. Congressman Wayne Owens and businessman Doug Anderson are competing to be the party's nominee to run for U.S. Senate to fill the seat of retiring Senator Jake Garn. And there are two major Democratic candidates for governor as well, Attorney Pat Shea and former District Judge Stuart Hansen. The county convention will also choose new local party officers as well. The Republican County Convention takes place at the end of this month. It won't be easy to pass a ballot initiative to allow pari-mutuel betting on horse racing in Utah if one new group has anything to say about it. Horse racing supporters are circulating petitions in the state to put a local option for the betting on this November's ballot. But now they have opposition. Utah Citizens Against Pari-Mutuel Betting announced its formation Wednesday, and it has garnered the support of some of Utah's political heavyweights. The group is headed by former U.S. Education Secretary Terrell Bell. Supporters include former Salt Lake City Mayor Palmer DePaulis and Utah Jazz owner Larry Miller. The group has also gotten support from various religious groups, added to the opposition of the LDS Church to the betting proposal, and it will be a tough fight for initiative supporters. Visitation at area national parks has shot up in recent months, and the latest figures from Dead Horse Point State Park Superintendent Rock Smith show the same thing happening there. In the month of April, more than 18,000 people visited the park. That's a full 25% increase over April of 1991. So far this year, the park has attracted more than 33,000 people, 7% up from last year. According to Smith, camping is also up 7% in 1992, with all campsites filled most evenings. Smith also announced that the park's visitor center will switch to its summer hours beginning next week, and it will be open every day from 8 to 6 p.m. Up next is the Canyon Country weather forecast when the Channel 6 News continues.
You know, Pete & Company is the largest styling salon in southeastern Utah, but did you know they have casual wear? These go-anywhere styles take you from morning to evening, from work to play, comfortably in carefree cotton blends. Now colorful too, in bright spring shades. You'll love to live in it. Pete & Company, your place for style from head to toe.
The Nike Air Moab, only at RIM.
Through the seasons, through the miles, through the rough country of southeastern Utah, we get you through. We're GTE. We're your telephone company.
Hazy clouds hung over the valley on Thursday, keeping temperatures a little bit lower than the last few days, with afternoon highs staying in the 70s. And the official National Weather Service forecast for Moab and Canyon Country calls for the clouds to stick around. Friday should be warmer with highs back into the 80s, and that weather should continue right on through the weekend. Look for overnight lows down around 65 degrees. There is a chance of some wide scattered showers over the next 3 days with occasional strong breezes. And that's the news of Moab and Canyon Country. I'm Jim Kelly, reminding you to keep on smiling.
Welcome to the Channel 6 News. I'm Tricia Maroney reporting. The Moab Chamber of Commerce plans to expand its activities, and the first step is the hiring of a professional staff. And the Board of Education chooses a new school superintendent. We'll have those stories when the Channel 6 News continues.
Spring is here, and if images of shovels, rakes, sprinklers, hoses, fertilizer, and peat moss are running through your head, run on down to Moab Hardware and Furniture. This year, save backstrain with this handy thatching blade that fits right on your mower. Save money with Ace brand fertilizer, 20-pound bag, just $3.99. And we'll loan you the spreader at no charge. Moab Hardware and Furniture, the garden spot for all your gardening needs.
Make Nelson's Heating and Refrigeration your first step to cool this summer with one of their new swamp coolers. Nelson's also offers parts, service, and installation. And if it's appliances you're after, Nelson's proudly presents Whirlpool and Maytag brands for low energy use, fewer repairs, and great warranties. Nelson's Heating and Refrigeration, serving Moab for 30 years, 1070 Bowling Alley Lane. Moab is continuing to grow, and the Moab Chamber of Commerce plans to grow right along with it. That was the message of Chamber President John Fogg as he spoke at the Chamber's weekly luncheon meeting this week. Fogg laid out a plan to hire a professional staff for the organization and to move away from relying on volunteer leadership. And on Friday, Fogg explained to Channel 6 what he has in mind.
The Chamber of Commerce, along with the city of Moab, is experiencing some real change in the area. Back when I was president before, in 1985, we had a series of town meetings that kind of set the pattern for what kind of economy the people of Moab wanted. Now, from those town meetings, it was very clear we were coming out of a uranium mine type industry, and the meetings very clearly indicated to us that people wanted to promote the tourist industry, and obviously that very much has been done. The problem with the Chamber of Commerce is that we haven't been able to grow adequately because we haven't really had a full-time paid person operating in the Chamber. So it's my real goal is to make the Chamber of Commerce a full-fledged business person's organization operating as any other corporation would. The president of the Chamber of Commerce is on the salary, the payroll. They represent the Chamber of Commerce, and that we can then address the needs of this business community to the entities that are involved.
The solution, says Fogg, is hiring a president of the Chamber.
We want the salary to be commensurate with the job title. I know we're going to have to start out somewhat small with that, but I feel that over time, with a series of fundraisers and different methods, we should be able to have that position up to a salary somewhere around $30,000 to $40,000 a year.
That's within a few years.
Yes. We're right now advertising for the position. We've been interviewing several people. We're starting the position out at $15,000 a year guaranteed salary plus some bonus incentive plans throughout the year. I think it's somewhat difficult for the community as a whole to see exactly how busy the Chamber of Commerce is. I know since taking the position, I've been putting in 40 to 50 hours a week of volunteer time as the president of the Chamber of Commerce. And frankly, in my opinion, a volunteer, including myself, cannot adequately do the job. It requires that that is your salaried position and that is your area of interest. And to carry the Chamber of Commerce into the future to be the organization that I'd like to see it be, I feel that this is absolutely necessary.
As Moab grows more popular as a destination site for visitors, it also becomes a more attractive place for businesses and investment. And Fogg wants the Chamber to help channel that growth.
I can't tell you how many contacts on a daily basis we get. I could say it's at least 5. There's at least 5 contacts to relocate here every single day. Yesterday we had 1 or 2 contacts on opening a business here in Moab. It's a constant flow coming in all the time. We have to have somebody professional that's able to deal with these people, to meet with them, to take them around town.
The Chamber has been advertising for the new professional director position, and the Chamber Board is also looking at the applicants who were highly rated by the Travel Council in their search for a new director. Another position opening in the area is director of the Nature Conservancy's Colorado Plateau Project. The nonprofit conservation organization is seeking a natural resource professional to oversee their operations in Canyon Country. A main focus of that work will be managing the Scott M. Matheson Wetlands Reserve. The area used to be known as the Moab Sloughs. The sloughs are also the only wetlands along the Colorado River in Utah, and they are home to hundreds of species of birds and animals. The Conservancy hopes to have that director on the job by July, and they plan to have a local office set up as well. Eventually, said Tom Mestis of the Salt Lake City office of the Nature Conservancy, there will be the director, a Matheson Wetlands manager, and some support staff, all based out of Moab. The Board of Education chooses a California educator for the position of Grand County School Superintendent. We'll have that story when the Channel 6 News continues.
For the best RV camp park in Moab, it's Holiday Haven, with oversized spaces to accommodate the largest RV and cool, comfortable tent sites under mature shade trees, all with a convenient central location. Holiday Haven is also Moab's finest mobile home park that offers country living in the city, an established park with pool, playground, laundry facilities, and a retired section. For comfortable RV or mobile home living, it's Holiday Haven, 400 North, 5th West.
Oh, Bessie Lou, Bessie Lou, Bessie Lou.
They're famous, they're fun, they're riders in the sky. See them live on June 6th at 7:30 p.m. at the Old Spanish Trail Arena.
As I go riding merrily along.
First Western National Bank, your hometown bank in Moab, has a special offer for homeowners. Now is the time to fix up your home with a new addition, kitchen cabinets, storm windows, siding, or a new deck. First Western National Bank can make any qualified homeowner an FHA Title I loan up to $17,500. Come in and see Southeast Utah's loan specialist at First Western National Bank, your hometown bank in Moab.
The Grand County School District has a new superintendent. The Board of Education announced Friday that Richard Averett has been hired for the position. He succeeds Glenn Taylor, who decided earlier this year to return to teaching. Averett has been the assistant superintendent for human resources development of the Ventura Unified School District in California, a district with 15,000 students. Averett also has experience as a teacher and as an elementary school and junior high school principal. He also holds master's degrees in Spanish literature and counseling and a doctorate in educational administration. Averitt will be in Moab next week to sit in on the interviews for new principals at the high school and the HMK school. He'll then return to California and be back in Moab permanently over the summer. Moab may be in a development boom, but at least one project is having trouble. At the end of 1990, real estate agent Randy Day went before the County Planning Commission with a plan to build a luxury resort on orchard land that until then had been owned by the LDS Church. The proposal called for a multi-million-dollar resort complete with restaurant, nightclub, and spa facilities. The developers, American Moab Farms, asked for a zoning change on the land from grazing to commercial. Although some nearby homeowners had concerns about the development and criticism that it was spot zoning, the request was rushed through the Planning Commission and approved by the County Commission. But now it appears the project is in serious jeopardy. According to the legal notices in the Times Independent, the LDS Church has not been paid for their note on the property since January, and legal action is being taken to begin the process of defaulting on the loan. So the property may go up for sale to satisfy those obligations. The 1992 Utah Travel Guide is now available. The publication is produced by the State Travel Council. The aim of the 90-page brochure is to provide information to people around the world about vacation areas and activity in the state. The guide details the 9 different travel regions in the state, and Southeast Utah plays a prominent role, and many of the photographs were taken by Moab resident Tom Till. The guide also contains an index of Utah tour operators, a list of services and motels in cities throughout the state, and a calendar of events. Grand County Democrats will be gathering this Saturday for their county convention. They will be electing delegates to the state convention, who in turn will vote for candidates in both the governor and senator elections. The county convention could also decide who the party will run for county commission. The 2 candidates for the nod are Peter Haney and Joe Kingsley, and officials will also be choosing party leaders for next year. The convention gets underway Saturday, May 9th at the Moab Civic Center on Legion Hill, and the activity gets underway at 10 a.m. It's been a busy month so far for the Hollywood Stuntman's Hall of Fame here on First North. In town was Hollywood actor Bruce Boxleitner, who was filming the cable TV movie Double Jeopardy with actress Rachel Ward. Boxleitner did his own rock climbing in the scenes from that movie. He was hand and foot printed at the Hall of Fame and talked about his respect for the men and women in the stunt business.
I'm here at the Hollywood Stuntman's Hall of Fame. I feel like it's home away from home. A lot of my favorite people, probably my most favorite people in the movie business, are stuntmen and women. All my old cowboy star favorites, everything. John Wayne, Yakima Canutt. The buddies of mine like Al used to be Dar Robinson, and Dick Zyker, Bobby Bass, all of them. I've worked with just about everybody.
Veteran stuntman Hubie Kearns was also in town, and he too was footprinted for the Hall of Fame walk. And racer and stuntman J.N. Roberts, known as the Legend, dropped by as well. Roberts donated his famous motorcycle that has been used in many films to the museum. The City of Moab's Parking Committee will be meeting Wednesday morning, May 13th, to discuss ways to raise money for municipal parking in town. That meeting will begin at 8 a.m. on the ground floor of Moab City Hall. Meanwhile, the City Council will be busy Tuesday and Thursday evenings as they begin the long and sometimes complicated work of putting together a budget for the new fiscal year that begins in July. Those meetings will take place at City Hall on both Tuesday and Thursday, meeting at 6:30 p.m. The City of Moab Street Department would like to inform the public that they will be seal coating city streets from May 12th through the 22nd. Streets from Main Street East to 4th East will be getting the new seal, and the city is looking for help from local residents. They're asking people in the area to refrain from parking their vehicles on the streets during this time. And if the vehicles are left and they interfere with the work, they may have to be towed away by the city. Street department officials are also asking residents to try to refrain from driving on the freshly laid seal coating for at least 1/2 hour after it's applied to protect your vehicle from the sticky tar problem. After disappearing for a few years, the Friendship Cruise is coming back Memorial Day weekend. For years, the cruise was an annual spring event as boaters took off from the city of Green River. They traveled by boat about 100 miles south to the confluence of the Colorado River, then turned north for the 87-mile trip to Moab. But the last few years have been hard on the traditional event. Low water prevented the cruise from being organized in both '89 and 1990, and last year organizers found there just wasn't enough interest. But this year, it's back, and for more information, you can write to Post Office Box 4 in Green River, 84525. Up next is the Canyon Country weather forecast when the Channel 6 News continues.
Today is a very good day. You've got a new set of wheels and a license to drive. You, my friend, are on a roll. Can your life get better than this? You bet your spandex because you're going to McDonald's to wheel some delicious deals. Only 59 cents for a regular hamburger, 69-cent cheeseburger, and 99 cents for a chicken fajitas or breakfast burrito. Wow. You ask someone to pinch you. Ah, a volunteer. Yes, your life is good. And at these prices, it only gets better at McDonald's today.
For all your insurance needs in Moab, it's Central Utah Insurance. Home, auto, business, and life. You can depend on the fast, friendly service at Central Utah Insurance, 471 South Main.
Through the seasons, through the miles, through the rough country of southeastern Utah, we get you through. We're GTE. We're your telephone company. Hazy sunshine stayed in the valley on Friday with afternoon highs climbing into the mid-80s. But there could be a change in the weather. The official National Weather Service forecast for Moab and Canyon Country calls for a front to move over the state by the weekend and Monday. Look for occasional showers with temperatures a bit cooler, highs around 80 degrees. And look for overnight lows down around 60 degrees. And that's the news of Moab and Canyon Country. I'm Tricia Maroney reporting.